Humans will move towards pleasure or away from pain. And Tony Robbins says it best, like people will move faster away from pain than they will towards pleasure. Once somebody's paid a chunk of change, they're motivated. And then once they start doing the work, they get the result, they get addicted to it.
What's the point of being successful if you're overweight or unhappy, or your wife doesn't want to have sex with you, or if you can't get your dick hard?
It's easier to project hate outwards than look inwards and go, fuck, why am I not successful within myself?
Obviously, there's a lot of fucking shit on the internet. There's so many fitness coaches and people out there, but most of them are talking a whole bunch of shit.
I think if we're looking for a villain to point the finger at externally, it would be social media.
When you rebuild yourself, you're also rewiring the way you operate. They have this one area of wealth where they've got the car, the house, the toys, but
Introducing Mike Peterson, a dedicated fitness coach and founder of the MPT Rebuild project. Mike's approach demonstrates that weight loss doesn't require extreme measures, as evidenced by clients achieving significant results without drastic diets. Join us as we explore Mike's mission to help individuals rebuild their health and confidence.
All right, so we got Mike Peterson here helping men rebuild their bodies and the rest of their lives in 90 days or less, dropping 20, 30 kilos. Instead of me telling everyone how fucking awesome you are, brother, why don't you give us a bit of an intro? Who are you? What do you do? Welcome to the pod, brother.
Well, for starters, thanks for having me.
Yep.
This is the most professional podcast I've ever sat in. It's pretty cool. How far back do you want to go?
Well, man, I think just like talking about your journey, there's a lot of crap out there on the internet. Most people have got it wrong. So how did you get into this and what do you do?
Yeah, well, interesting. I guess I've always been into health and fitness. When I started off, it was about being a professional tennis player, footy player. Then at about 14, I saw The Rock and his confidence, his physique, the muscularity kind of hooked me, and that got me into weightlifting. And this is in like the year 2000, right? So I claim that I was into the gym before it was cool, or before it was established in Australia. Have you been in Australia for that long? When did you come across?
12 years ago.
12 years ago, yeah. So back in 2000, there wasn't World's Gym, there wasn't Theramit, there wasn't Anytime, there wasn't Fitness First, there was none of that stuff. So anyway, I got into the gym then because I wanted to be a wrestler. Long story short, kind of went down a few different career paths, including personal training. Hit 30 years old, decided I didn't want to be a wrestler anymore, grew up a little bit late, and thought, look, I'm either going to buy a gym and go down that road, or I'm going to go online. And it was around that time that I saw a bloke we were talking about earlier, an ad popped up. You were in his mentorship group for a period of time when I was in. We had a bit of a crossover there.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, I can take my expertise online and figure out this online stuff. And since then, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been doing online coaching with men. I've honed in my offer into what I call a rebuild, which for me is more of a holistic lifestyle upgrade, where I help these guys lose 10, 20, 30. We've got clients that have lost 50 kilos in 90 days or a little bit longer, depending on how much they have to lose.
Yeah.
And that's kind of transitioned into me understanding that it's, if you are carrying 20, 30, 40, 50 kilos of body fat, there's other things in your life and other areas of your life that's typically going wrong that kind of lead you there.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we have a pretty good link in what we actually do with people to a degree.
Yeah,
you're probably a bit more specific with marriages and helping people with their business and stuff, whereas I'm just, hey, let's get your lifestyle in tune with the man that you want to become. Because if you're carrying 30, 40, 50 kilos of weight, typically you're not doing the things that the man you want to become is doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And the side element to what we do, obviously, is we get guys in the gym 4 to 5 times a week, fix their nutrition, fix their daily actions, try to work on their mindset to a degree without making this, a full-time self-development course, because we understand a lot of our guys are busy. They're fathers, they run businesses, they might be, they don't have the time to necessarily do that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we do.
That's insane, man. So since you started online and throughout your career, like how many men do you reckon you've helped?
We've worked with over 4,000.
Insane.
Yeah, I'd have slightly over 100 before and after photos that I've gotten permission. There's probably another 100 that they don't want their faces online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This year just gone, being 2024, we filmed 10 podcasts, which I thought was all right for someone that started new. You've probably done more than that, have you?
Yeah, 120. Yeah.
120 this year?
Yeah. No, 50, 52, yeah.
50, so you do one a week, yeah. So I did one a month as a newbie, so I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And we filmed 14 case studies.
Yeah.
So if I can get a client to 10% or close to it, and they want to, I'll meet with them in a gym and film a YouTube case study where we basically do a session together, and I just ask them questions from their perspective on how their rebuild worked for them and their lifestyle. So we filmed with 14 of those this year, which I was
Nice.
pretty happy with. And next year, I'll probably aim to do another 20, 25.
Insane. And you mean 10% body fat, right? Like
10%
getting
body fat,
shredded.
yeah. Unlike an in-body scan or in a Volt or a DEXA if they've got access to it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So with this rebuild program, like obviously there's a lot of fucking shit on the internet. There's so many fitness coaches and people out there,
Yeah.
but most of them are talking a whole bunch of shit, right? So what are the common misconceptions you see in the fitness industry that are stopping men from being consistent? Because anyone can lose a few kgs, right? How do you fucking keep it off? So what are you doing that's different to every other fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry?
Good question. I mean, for me, it's context. You know, like the most famous people in fitness at the moment that are doing the best financially are all about, you know, move more, eat less. Calorie deficit is a word that obviously is true, but there's context around it. I feel like some of the guys that I work with that are 20, 30, 40 kilos overweight, like they've tried keto, which is just one approach. They've tried fasting, which is just one approach. They've tried a calorie deficit or what they think is a calorie deficit, one approach. They've tried Ozempic, again, one approach. But none of those kind of solutions are really touching on the core problem, which is their lifestyle habits. A lot of it can be mindset. A lot of it can be emotional eating, which I'm sure you're an expert of helping guys through that.
Yeah.
A lot of it can be stress related or alcohol. A lot of people don't realize that there's calories in alcohol. So typically the stuff on the fitness industry, I feel like, is largely just one, like most people try to hang their hat on one approach.
Yeah.
And they don't look at it from a holistic overview.
Yeah.
So we meet with each client. I get them to get a scan. I usually do a 15-minute kind of consult with them at the start after they've gone through an induction training to get to know them and figure out who they are and what makes them tick. And then we fit a strategy to that individual. So everybody's a bit different. Some guys will train first thing in the morning because that's when they have time because they're going to work or running the business all day. And then when they get home, they want to be dad. Other guys will be dad and then want to go to the gym. You know, some guys can eat 4 meals a day. Other guys like to eat 6. Some guys like to eat 3 and like to snack. So it really is making sure that it's a sustainable approach set to the individual.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the biggest thing missing. I feel like the fitness industry is very much that everybody tries to be about one approach, as opposed to looking at the holistic problem and looking at the deeper issues that's actually stopping these guys from being, you know, the bloke that they want to be in order to do the actions they need to do every day in order to render the results 90 days down the track or 364 days down the track if you're a bigger dude.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys, they're looking for that quick fix, and it's easy to market that one thing. Like, this is the one thing that works.
Yeah.
But you and I both know all of it fucking works. It's like what's sustainable and what's going to get you the long-term result. Why do you think so many fucking men, man, like we're more overweight, depressed, stressed, anxious than ever? But there's more information out there than ever. Yeah. Before we dive into some strategies on holistic coaching, times, all that sort of stuff, what do you think is the biggest cause or causes of men losing their health and getting overweight? What's causing it?
I mean, if we want to give them all a good excuse, COVID's one of them.
Yeah.
You know, we hear from guys coming in every time, you know, I just haven't recovered since COVID.
Really?
You know, COVID fucked me. You know, especially people that live in Victoria when they were, you know, unable to use the gym for 18 months and they were asked by police at 8 p.m, why are you out? Yeah. You know, like that. I mean, all you have to do is look at the statistics in mental health and, you know, we won't go down the suicide topic, but I've opened up that wormhole. Like it's massive since COVID. Yeah. So I think if people are looking for an enemy to point or someone to blame at, you could definitely point that at COVID.
Yeah. What else do people blame?
I feel like that's external, but if you're looking internal, there's probably a lot of things that we can hang the hat on. Yeah. I think a lot of times most men, as you would know, they are focused so much on providing and protecting and being the perfect dad and husband and making the money and doing all that kind of stuff that they don't look after themselves. Yeah. And the saying that we use inside our group is that you can't keep pouring from an empty cup. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of dads or dudes my age or older are feeling completely empty. Yeah. And my whole thing is like, let's get you back on track so you'll be much better role model for your kids. You'll be better at work. You'll be a better leader for your team if you're a business owner. Yeah. And that typically comes, through fixing up their nutrition, focusing on things like sleep, and obviously lifting, putting your body under a healthy stress, which in my opinion is resistance training. Yeah. I talk about resistance training being anti-aging's best friend. You look at most people that age gracefully, they're usually typically quite muscular, whereas you look at people that don't age gracefully, they don't really have too much muscle on them.
No, not at all. They don't look healthy. Like, I don't know if you've seen RFK Jr. in the US.
Mm.
Dude's a fucking weapon.
Yeah,
The previous health minister was some transsexual overweight person.
Yeah.
And if you're transsexual overweight, you're fucking prerogative.
Yeah.
But don't be a health minister.
Correct.
Right? And this is the path the world's going down. Just really quickly, if you're getting value from this podcast episode, I'd appreciate a massive favor. If you're watching on YouTube, give this a thumbs up. Or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other platform, give this 5 stars. It helps us reach more men, keep more families together, and get better guests onto the show. So if you're getting value, all that I ask is you take 5 seconds to give it a thumbs up or 5 stars so we can help more people and keep delivering you epic value. So we have blaming COVID, we have blaming work and protecting and providing. Obviously there's health, wealth, relationships. I think a lot of guys don't realize that if you lose your health, your wealth and relationships are fucked.
That don't matter,
right? That doesn't absolutely matter. So when you have a guy to come to you who's busy, he's successful, he's providing, but his health's fucked, how do you get him to shift his priorities? Because obviously that's his priority as business and wealth. How do you do that?
Well, good question. Obviously part of the rebuild is we do a portion of mindset training as well. And I'm big on leveraging pleasure and pain. So I feel like humans will move towards pleasure or away from pain. And Tony Robbins says it best, like people will move faster away from pain than they will towards pleasure.
Yeah.
He uses the example of if you're in an open meadow or oval or field and there's a pot of gold worth $1 million and there's no pending threat around, how fast will you run to that? Probably not that fast. You'll pull out your phone, you'll fucking call your mom, you'll tell Instagram that you found $1 million because there's no perceived threat.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in that same meadow and there's a tiger coming for you, you're going to move a lot faster away from that perceived pain than you are towards that pleasure.
Yeah.
So the way that we kind of try to get people, give them a bit of a smack, is I'll get them to go and get a scan that objectively says you have 40 kilos of fat. Your visceral fat is here. Your bio age is 10 years older than where you're at. And if the person reading the scan, they give them a little bit of a kick in the bum, that's pain. And I'll get them to send those over to me with shirtless front, side, and back photos. And the combination of those two, the guys always say to me, fuck, I didn't realize it was that bad. I'm super keen to do this. So it almost gives them that little bit of a smack. I call it a smack.
Yeah.
Because as you will know, a lot of people need trauma. They need to be threatened for divorce or divorced.
Yeah.
Or they need to have something major happen in their life for them to do something.
Yeah.
Because we're just stuck in this kind of, zombie land of we're on our phone, where, life's happening, to us, not necessarily for us. And everybody's just so busy and distracted that without that trauma or without, in my instance, that smack, people just can't wake up.
100%. And I don't think they realize the risks of that pain because the tiger's not actually there, right? So let's say you get a guy, he sends you the topless photos and he's like, I'm fat, I don't look good. And then he gets a scan that says 40%. That's sort of like surface level. But what are the risks from your professional opinion of a guy who's even 10, 20 kilos overweight? Because there's obviously sex drive, heart attacks, people don't think about that until they have the fucking heart attack or the divorce.
Yeah.
So what are the risks for the guys you see, and how can we get these guys to go, I need to fix it now before it fucking happens? Like, what are the risks?
Well, everything you just said.
Yeah. So paint the picture for me. A guy comes to you, is 40 kilos overweight. What could happen in 5 years? Like he wakes up, how does he feel?
Well, a lot of the guys for starters say that putting on shoes and socks is hard.
Jesus
and they're out of breath because they've got, too much of a veranda in front. but as you would know, it's all the stuff that you just said. A lot of them, like you said, they don't have libido, they don't have sex drive, they're not intimate with their wife, which causes all sorts of problems moving forward.
Yeah.
And they go to the doctors and the doctors will go Ozempic, TRT, oh, you're in the age for TRT, let's try that. And I'm like, mate, let's just get 20, 30 kilos of fat off you and you'll be fine naturally.
Yeah.
We actually have a guy named Alex who him and his wife were trying to conceive, and he was 45% fat, short fella, looks amazing now. I can send you the stuff for B-roll if you want.
Yeah, we'll put it up.
Yeah, and he went to the doctors, and low sex drive, testosterone was below average, below 8 milliliters decimol, whatever it is. It was down at 6. So the doctor said, look, we can do Ozempic to get the weight off quickly. We can do TRT. And this guy's 30 years old. You shouldn't be exploring TRT at 30 years old, despite what Hermosi says. Yeah. You don't need it. Your natural levels are fine. I'm 37 and mine are just as high as they were when I was 26. A lot of people are just, anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole. Might offend some of your listeners. And he come to me and I think we lost 18 kilos before his testosterone levels doubled.
Yeah.
Then he was able to have the baby with the wife as well because they couldn't conceive. And it was his testosterone problems. And now their baby's like a month now.
Insane.
And he's down at 10% now. I'll show you the pictures when we're done.
Yeah,
on
we'll
the
put them up.
podcast.
We'll definitely put them
Amazing.
up. Yeah.
So like for him, it was the fact that he couldn't have a kid.
Yeah.
And he was going to go down that road of Ozempic, which you would know has a ton of health side effects, and TRT, which, as you would also know, you probably realize you've got to be on that for life. Once you start, you cannot stop that because you're going to feel like shit when you stop it because your body will stop naturally producing. He avoided both of those rabbit holes by fixing his health, by doing a rebuild with us.
Insane. So there might be someone listening. I know it's pretty commonplace now to understand what Ozempic and TRT are, but can you explain to me what testosterone is and what TRT is? And then we'll dive into the risks of Ozempic. Because a lot of guys listening are like, might have heard of it, but they might not understand it.
Yeah.
So let's start with testosterone.
How far down biology?
Go deep. Because and I want you to talk about how it affects the relationship, how it affects the business, how it affects everything. Because you and I know how to fix it, but a lot of guys don't.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, for starters, I'm a believer that there's two genders.
Yeah.
Hopefully you share that view.
I completely agree with you, yes.
There's a male chromosome and there's male and female. So what's the difference between the two behaviorally? We won't talk about that, but it's testosterone and estrogen. Men rely on testosterone, women are estrogen. So as a fully functioning male whose body fat percentage is at a decent level, who's resistance training and focusing on sleep and all the rest of it, your testosterone is partially your energy supply. So when that dwindles, not because you're getting old, because maybe at 50, 55, 60, it starts to dwindle. That's my opinion. And I'm happy to prove that in time. It can come down from things like stress, alcohol, not focusing on your sleep, and obviously weight gain as well. You've mentioned earlier, you obviously understand it, which is great.
Yeah.
So I feel like what TRT is it's testosterone replacement therapy. It's typically used for people that have genetic disorders and low testosterone, or people that are 45, 50 plus that are feeling depressed, because testosterone also affects your mood. So mood, energy, confidence. Sex drive, obviously libido.
So low testosterone fucks up all those things,
correct,
right?
Yeah. And the reality is a lot of the clients that come to me, the testosterone levels are low, but it's not because they're 35, 40, 45, 50. It's because of their lifestyle habits, not focusing on sleep, over drinking, stress, not lifting weights, and being that overweight. That's what's bringing their testosterone levels down.
And that's how does that impact everything else?
Well, it's the mood, it's the lack of libido. So the intimacy with the wife goes out the window because the bloke just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Confidence, energy is all affected.
Yeah, because you have a lot of guys, I'm assuming, that are successful. They make money. We have the same thing, and they have this one area wealth where they've got the car, the house, the toys, but they're fucked everywhere else. And it's like, what's the point of being successful if you're overweight or unhappy, or your wife doesn't want to have sex with you, or if you can't get your dick hard? I spoke to a guy yesterday. He's like, his wife's left him and cheated on him because he hasn't been able to get hard for 2 years. That's all solvable, right? That's all fixable.
Yeah.
So testosterone's one piece. Your recommendation is optimize it naturally.
Yep.
Is losing fat the best way to do that? What's the best way to do that?
Fat and sleep.
Fat and sleep.
For sure. Would be the best two in my opinion.
Okay. So talk to me about sleep. Like we'll talk about fat loss in a second. How do you optimize your sleep, and how important is sleep?
I think sometimes it's just about awareness for some of these guys. Like, because, you hear Arnie talk about, if you need 6 hours of sleep, then I would recommend sleep faster or whatever his comment is. So there's, and then you hear like guys like The Rock, 55, natural, self-proclaimed natural, not on anything.
Super natural, never
not
done
anything.
anything.
Sleeping 4 hours a day.
Yeah, never done any drugs.
But, so they're like, oh, well, maybe sleep's just a bit overrated. And that's just what these people are saying as general advice. They don't actually understand how important it is to regulate hormones. And, you actually burn more calories the longer you sleep as well. And muscle recovery, building. So I think sometimes just a bit of awareness around that for the guys. And again, when I build out their meal plan, it's built around their lifestyle. So, two of my questions are, what time do you wake up? And what time do you go to bed? Yeah. And they're already like, oh, I go to bed a bit late. I probably should be, getting to bed a bit earlier. And it's just bringing the awareness around it. Yeah. As far as like biohacking and stuff, like you can listen to the things about blackout blinds, temperature, all that kind of stuff. And that has helped some guys in extreme cases that wake up four times a night because they're too hot. It's like, dude, you're going to have to invest in, an air conditioner for that room, or maybe sleep naked or sleep on top of the sheets, like sort it out. It's all basic kind of common sense stuff. But for me, the biggest thing is typically bringing awareness around it. Yeah. And then like yourself, once somebody's paid a chunk of change, they're motivated. And then once they start doing the work, they get the result, they get addicted to it.
Yeah.
And it snowballs. You know, they've looked after their sleep for the first week or the first fortnight because they're motivated. They've seen the scan, they've seen the photos, they've paid the money, they've gotten the plan, they've spoken to the coach, they've seen the success stories, they're motivated, they do it. And then that provides positive feedback, which is that feedback loop to, oh, wow, I'm actually feeling good doing this. I'll continue to do it. And then most of them build that as a habit moving forward into their lifestyle.
Well, men get to rebuild because if you're overweight and you got 40 kilos in a veranda out the front, it's going to fuck with your business and it's going to fuck with your marriage. When you rebuild yourself, you're also rewiring the way you operate and you upgrade your identity, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that fat loss is, you know, something you do once or twice. You do it for life. You don't just lose it and then put it back on. You build an identity of the guy who's lean, right?
Correct.
So talk to me about your perception around identity for these guys. Like, I'm assuming they don't come to you and put it back on because you know what you're doing. A lot of coaches don't have that claim to fame. So how do you make sure they maintain it? They're motivated, they're inspired. What happens if they get busy with work or they're traveling? Like, how do they stay consistent with this?
Yeah, good question. So most of them do maintain it, like being open. Some guys don't.
Yeah.
But the result that I own is a rebuild. It's not whatever. I don't want to
Diet.
name names of people that are doing well in the fitness space. That it's a quick, you know, I try to get people away from the 12-week challenge mindset. You know, 8-week, 12-week challenges, they're all built around money. They're all your F45s and BFTs. And I mean, you just have to go and look at one of those. People just aren't in shape and they're there all the time. So obviously something's going wrong with that. So part of the rebuild for me is exactly what you said. It's a lifestyle upgrade. And the biggest thing I want to get across to some guys that are maybe listening or have tried a few things before is it doesn't have to be as hard as you think. A lot of guys will see my physique doesn't look impressive today, but you know, in a singlet with a pump on, it does. You know, I get a lot of, you're not natty, whatever. They'll see me at 37 and think, oh, he's got to be on steroids. He's got to be training twice a day. He's got to be training 6 days a week. He's got to be eating 6-7 meals a day because that's just their not ignorance, but it's their off perception of what it actually takes to get a physique like that. Yeah. So therefore they're almost quitted before they've almost quit before they've started. And that, I think, with guys, you know, my age and older is because they've watched the Rocky movies and that's how Rocky got in shape. Training 3 times a day, you know, out in the cold, punching the thing. They've got this off perspective. Whereas with my rebuild, we need you in the gym 4 to 5 times a week for an hour. Like even the busiest guy I've got that's doing well financially, he travels. His name's Craig Lindemann. He's 50 years old. He lost, and I'll give you his B-roll too. He lost 20 kilos of fat and gained 3 kilos of muscle without TRT in like a 4 or 5 month period whilst traveling the world for his business. He's in America, he's in Germany, he's in Switzerland. He's moving all the time. Yeah. Even he can find an hour 5 days a week. Yeah. So I feel like that's quite easy. And typically I'll get my guys maybe eating 4 meals a day. 2 might be solids and 2 might just be protein shakes with fruit or yogurt, just convenient stuff. So it's not actually as hard as what people think to be able to upgrade their lifestyle to what it takes to be able to look a certain way. Yeah. And I think that's probably some of the biggest things that people will struggle with before they come in. But then once they come into the rebuild, they go, oh, this is actually quite easy. I'm enjoying what I'm eating. I'm enjoying these foods. It's very easy to follow. You've made it very simple for me. I'm loving the gym workouts because I give them something different every day that they can progress on the week after. I do the bro split, as they call it. A lot of people give it shit. It's worked for me, it works for my clients. And they enjoy it. They fall in love with the resistance training because it's progress. And as you know, men need to be progressing forward to feel fulfilled. And the nutrition side is quite easy to do. They're sleeping a bit longer now because they're aware of it. They like how they feel. They're getting positive response from people in their network. And it becomes addictive and it becomes very easy to switch over to this lifestyle versus the lifestyle they were in. And therefore, it's much easier for them to sustain.
Yeah, it becomes who they are, right?
It does. Whereas other options, like, you know, we get guys coming to us from other coaches that I look at in the gym down the road, right? I train at that gym down the road, that get them doing 45 minutes of fasted cardio on a fat burner at 3 a.m. And I'm like, just because that's what you're doing, because you want to be Chris Bumstead, right? Doesn't mean that's what the 45-year-old father from fucking, you know, Logan wants to do. He just wants to get down to 10, 15%. He doesn't want to be a bodybuilder. He doesn't need to be doing 45 minutes of fasted cardio at 3 a.m. with a fat burner when he's going to go and pour concrete for a day. So a lot of the coaches out there think that their clients come to them because they want to look like them. And a lot of these guys are aspiring bodybuilders and all just want to be Chris Bumstead, right? Yeah. So they're on the gear, they're doing 6 meals a day because it's best for protein synthesis, blah, 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 not realizing that the mass majority of people out there that are my clients, they don't want that fucking result. And they're never gonna live that lifestyle, and they don't need to do that lifestyle either.
Yeah. What do you say to someone though that says that sounds simple? Just eat 4 meals a day. Tell me what I need to eat. Train 4 to 5 times a week for an hour. Tell me how I need to train. And then they go, yeah, but I don't have enough time. Like, how do you deal with the time objection for the guys that are busy?
Yeah, well, a lot of it's just calling that bullshit. You know, like if you claim you don't have an hour in your day, you're a liar. And show me your phone, and I'll pull up your phone time on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Easily, people are wasting that kind of time. But then again, from the other side, as a coach, that's part of our role to show them that they have time. So a lot of my clients will actually rewind their clock back by an hour and get up and do it first thing.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just go to bed a little bit earlier instead of laying in bed for 90 minutes scrolling on Instagram, wondering why you and your wife aren't intimate because you've got your phone in your hand looking at who knows what on Instagram or TikTok, then it's very easy. You're not actually creating an extra hour. You're just optimizing an extra hour.
Yeah,
in that 24-hour window.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Ozempic and quick fixes because you and I both know that as a man, it feels fucking good to look at your bank account, see $1 million, like, you know, or 500 grand or 200 grand and go, I earned that. Whereas if you win the lotto, you don't feel the same way, right? Sure, you'd be happy. It's the same with your body. When you fucking go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week for 12 weeks straight, 90 days straight, 180 days, and you fucking lose 20 kilos, you feel great. But there's this quick fix mentality with men these days.
Yeah.
So some listeners might not know what Ozempic is. What is Ozempic? You know, what are the risks, and how does it tie into this idea of quick fixes that stop men from reaching their potential?
That's a layered question. I got to think about that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's spot on. You know, no result that's easy is worth attaining, right? Like I don't know who said that, but it makes sense. Like you and I both know, being in business and being in shape, that there's nothing more rewarding than earning the result with your own work ethic in your own 2 hands. So I think psychologically, most guys have examples of that. You know what I mean? Like even if it was when they first, you know, picked up their wife many years ago or whatever it may be, they have those examples, but it's been so long that they've actually done something like that they can't kind of tap into what that feels like. As far as Ozempic's a money-making gimmick, right? It's the health.
Can you explain what it is? Like
the powers to be in the health world that are trying to make more and more money, right?
Yeah.
To my understanding, it is a peptide that suppresses appetite.
Okay.
To my understanding.
Yeah.
What I've seen from it is that you lose weight very quickly, but that weight is a combination of body fat and lean body mass, which is muscle.
Yeah.
Part of my rebuild is to actually build muscle. So the bigger the foundation, which you would know, you're quite a well-built guy, more muscle mass you've got, the more calories you burn at rest or doing your daily business, right? Activity, which just means you can eat more calories, which just means you can have a more balanced life. So a big part of our rebuild is like, let's do the rebuild intensive. Let's get you down towards 10. Doesn't have to be 10. Some guys are happy at 15, which if they're taller and more muscular looks great anyway. Then once we've done that, then you apply 80-20 to what we've taught you. You can have your meal out with the missus. You can go have the beers at the whatever. And because your metabolism's functioning well enough and you've got enough muscle mass, you can get away with it, which is what I can do. Right. So that's part of my rebuild. Now, Ozempic, if Ozempic's pulling down your metabolic baseline, your lean body mass, then it's meaning that you're going to have to shrink and eat less calories constantly to maintain that result that you get with it, which, as you and I know, is impossible. You know, you can. I think you've done comps before, haven't you? You've competed
not done bodybuilding,
but you've gotten down to 8% body
I
fat.
was very lean.
There's only a percentage of time you can handle being that hungry.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable. It's not a lifestyle that you can have for 20 years, being starving all the time. So if you can get down to 10% in a way where you can have balance and you're not hungry, then it's very easy to maintain. Ozempic, again, in my understanding of it, is you're losing fat and muscle. You're not eating many calories because it's sending a signal to your brain that you're not hungry. So great, you'll lose 30 kilos. But then when you stop taking Ozempic because you can't take it long term, your appetite goes through the roof. You've got no muscle mass now anymore. So your metabolic baseline's dropped all the way down. You go back to eating normally, or even if it is mindful, and you start putting on weight and you're not quite sure why. So
it's risky. And who knows what the side effects are, kidneys, liver, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That ties into the quick fix thing. Like, I've seen so much with men, they wait until the end, their wife leaves, they have a heart attack, or they can't see their fucking dick anymore because they're so fat. And then they try to change, right?
Yeah.
Then they try to change with a quick fix and they expect 20 years of fucking abuse to be done in a week or two. How do you deal with the quick fix mentality, man? Like, because guys are impatient as fuck. Oh, I've been on this diet for 3 weeks, it's not working. Fuck this. Like, how do you deal with that?
It's very interesting. So how do I get into this? As far as specifically, we make sure they get a good result at the start.
Yeah.
So I will put them on a very low calorie meal plan at the start. I'll look after their protein based on how much muscle mass they've got. So they're not going to lose muscle. I give them a range of highly nutritious, highly bioavailable foods. So like a kiwi fruit, there's a super green sup that I give my clients. It's a salt and lemon drink in the morning to make sure they're hydrated. A serving of red meat a day as well. I do a full fat Greek yogurt, veggies, fruits, things like that, right? And I might start a guy on 1,600 calories that I want to finish him on 3,000. But I know if I start him on 16, he's going to feel much better than what he is because he's eating good foods. He's eating high protein. He's going to the gym. He's looking after his sleep. And he's motivated because he's just joined the program, psychological stuff. He'll lose 4 kilos in the first fortnight, and then I'll bump his calories up to 1,800. Then he'll do that for a week. He'll lose another 2.5, 1.8. I'll bump him up another 100. So I'm constantly increasing calories over time as he's improving his lifestyle. He's getting to the gym. He's looking after his sleep, etc. So he gets a fast result. So I mix the two together. I hear what you're saying about getting over the quick fix mentality and looking at a lifestyle upgrade.
Yeah.
But I know that people have short attention span, and if they don't get a result instantly, they're going to go down the road to someone else that's going to give them Ozempic.
Yeah.
So I leverage both. I give them what they want at the start, and we go, righto, we're going to do very low calories, but it's okay because of what I've built with the high protein and the foods that I'm doing, resistance training, etc. But we want to build the calories up over time. So I'm mixing the two together to create a perfect formula.
Well, you need both. You need a quick fix. But what I'm saying is when people expect one and they don't do the work afterwards, right? Like it seems like what you're doing is you continue it as a lifestyle.
Correct. Yeah. And I think because of my messaging and marketing, I don't think we attract that too much, to be honest. I think the biggest difference potentially between the clients that I'm getting and maybe that you are is I'm not necessarily getting guys that are successful monetarily either. Yeah. Like I'm getting a lot of people that are just, at middle of the line, middle class, if you will. Yeah. So it's not as if they're like killing it and they're making millions and they're doing this, but they're neglecting their health. They're typically not doing that well in any area of their life. Yeah. And I've often found that by changing their health and getting them, rebuilt and in shape, it triggers the rest. And I can probably learn a whole bunch of stuff from you on how to encourage them to trigger that, to get them on purpose. I've heard you talk about getting guys on purpose. A lot of guys that we have are not on purpose. Yeah. They're in a job they fucking hate, but they're mortgaged at the eyeballs. Yeah. And they don't have the risk to change, and they definitely don't have the energy when they're carrying around 30 kilos of fat. Yeah. So I almost do it as the reverse way around. We almost, being a rebuild coach and not necessarily I don't want to call you a life coach because you're not, but empowerment coach. Yeah. Performance, high performance. Yeah. We attack the health first, and then that opens up the realization that, hey, there's other things I can actually work on. Yeah. So it's a little different. My offer's not come and do a 12-month or a 6-month lifestyle upgrade. Mine is I'll get 20 kilos or 10 to 20 kilos off you in 90 days. But then by being in our community, we're going to start to, unplug you from the matrix as well. Yeah. And show you that lifestyle switch of identity, which is what you're 100% talking about. I just don't lead with it. Yeah. I lead with the surface level stuff that the client wants, the weight loss, and then we, through the rest of it, we teach them that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to do that because like you and I and many other men who are fit, I started training, 13, 14, 15 years ago. You've been training your entire life, right? Yeah. It's in our value structure. Yeah. So if we don't go to the gym, if we don't eat well, we feel like shit. Then we're grumpier, we're not the best partner, our business suffers, and we're hyper aware of that. But the average bloke who comes to work with you, or even me, they're not aware of any of this shit. Yeah. They just know something's wrong because they're in that matrix you talk about. Yeah. So like health and fitness are in our value structure. Guys come to you because they want to change. If you're getting value from this podcast episode and you want to learn how you can have a better relationship, a better marriage, you can be a better father, husband, the man you know your family deserves, then it's very fucking hard to do that just by listening and getting fed information. Sure, this is valuable, but what's much more valuable is having a custom roadmap and a custom plan. And that's exactly what we do here at The Empowered Man. So if you want to learn how to fix your marriage, reconnect with your children, and find work-life balance, then that's exactly what we want to help you with. We'll help you make more money, working less hours, have that life you deserve by becoming unfuckwithable. Just tap the link down below in the description and go and book a coaching session with my Empowered Man team. On that session, we'll build your custom Empowered Man roadmap to fix your marriage, reconnect with your children, find work-life balance, and have the life you deserve. Click the link down below right now. But what about someone who's listening to this right now and they're like, I don't really want to train. I don't really want to get healthy. I've got other shit to do. How do you get someone like that to shift their value structure to health? Because health's a lifestyle. It's a value structure, right?
It is, yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I don't. Honestly, like, I mean, you can't fix people that don't want to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jim Rohn's classic comment is don't take that class.
Yeah.
You know, like if somebody is overweight and they've got low libido, low energy, no ambition, and they don't want to change,
yeah,
I want to run the other way.
Yeah.
Because I've got to protect my energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what you're trying to say with that, but and that's where I love the whole online world. It's pay to play. I put up an ad that's calling out a specific type of person, and if you're not that person, then don't click.
Yeah.
Don't end up in my inbox, and don't look at my stuff as hiring. You know, if someone doesn't want to change due to whatever trauma or awareness, or you know they're coasting through and they're happy on cruise control, then that's okay. You know, let that soul be.
Yeah, some people need to go through more pain.
Correct.
They
and that's what
need
we
to suffer.
We were talking about this earlier. Like most people, they won't change until something happens.
Yeah.
You know, in your instance with who you're working at, it's usually divorce or the brink of divorce.
Yeah.
In mine, it's usually a health scare, or like you said, they look down one day and they can't see the old fella anymore.
Yeah.
You know, or the pain of putting on the shoes with the veranda out the front, or you know, pulling the t-shirt down constantly.
Yeah.
Or you know, wondering, you know, why am I not attracted to why am I not, you know, why don't I have sex drive anymore? These kind of pain things is usually what will make people change.
I'd love for you to talk about that pain specifically with the partner, because a lot of guys that come to us, they say, my wife hasn't looked at me the same in years. She doesn't desire me. She doesn't want to have sex with me.
Yep.
But they don't look in the mirror and go, that's because of me. They blame the fucking wife, right?
Yep.
So what sort of, I know you do rebuild in health and fitness, but what sort of changes have you noticed with your clients outside of health and fitness?
Yeah.
What happens in their relationship? What happens with their confidence? And also as a father, right? Like as a dad, you got to fucking set an example. So what are you observing in relationship with the kids, relationship with the partner, business? What sort of changes are happening there based on the health?
Yeah, good question. So the feedback that we get is they've got more energy for their kids, and their kids kind of want to be with them more and want to be like dad and want to be eating what dad's eating. A lot of our guys will have their kids want to go to the gym or train with them if they've got a home gym. We actually have a lot of guys that their wives start kind of eating along the lines of how they're eating and start going to the gym and they start losing weight. You know, one of our guys' wives lost 13 kilos.
Amazing.
So there are other areas that definitely improve. We have a lot of guys that run businesses that say that they're much better now as well. So they're less stressed, they're less kind of anxious, they're a better boss, they're a better leader, and they've got more energy is probably the biggest thing that we hear. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with a lot of guys that have already fallen off the cliff, if that makes sense. So they've already been divorced and they've kind of had that contemplation and that kind of moment where they're like, shit, it actually is partially my fault. Sure, I've provided and I've made the money and I've put the house over the roof, got the mortgage, but I did get fat and unattentive to the missus.
Yeah.
They've already realized that and they're already on the other side of wanting to do something, and that's kind of why they're hiring me.
Yeah.
Whereas it kind of sounds like you get a lot of guys before that and you're potentially much better at helping guys avoid that trauma. Whereas I'm just like, hey, once you're there, I'm ready to go.
Sometimes, bro, like we get guys who are completely fucked. We had a guy recently, he's worth 50 million and he's completely fucked. Like infidelity, no connection, no intimacy, no sex. And it's like, what's the point of any of that shit if you're overweight, unhappy and divorced? So it goes both ways.
Yep.
Why do you think men let themselves go, man? Because I don't know about you. How long have you been with your partner for?
This one's new, 6 months.
All right, perfect. Previous ones, long, 2, 3, 4 years?
Yeah, a couple of years usually.
All right, cool. So I've been with Rosie for 8 years. Like we still go on date nights. I still train with her. I was her personal trainer. And then we started dating. So I'm that fuck boy, right?
You're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Man.
But like we still train. She's 38 weeks pregnant. She's still training. Like we're growing together. And then I see all these men out there who just they just let themselves go, man. They stop going to the gym. They stop eating well. They stop going on date nights. What do you think causes that in men? Because that doesn't seem like someone you'd work with. But why do you think that happens so often?
Personally, I blame social media to a degree.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people give their screen more attention than they give their partner.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a lot. And it's been something I've had to work through with my new partner. Sometimes I think it's about bringing awareness to it. I think a lot of times people don't realize how addicted to their phone they are. Like you and I spoke earlier that I don't have Instagram on my phone at the moment. You're like, I don't use mine much either.
Yeah.
Because if I did, I wouldn't have the clarity to do what I do as a business owner, let alone have any sort of bandwidth left for the missus at the end of the day or during the day. So I think if we're looking for a villain to point the finger at externally, it would be social media. I think a lot of people need to monitor their screen time, which is kind of hard for us to say because we both rely on it to get clients and for people to be watching this. But I think it's good to have, obviously, but not, you need to have control of it. So I have Instagram on my laptop. I'll have a scheduled 30 minutes where I'll go and respond and I'll go and check and I'll go and have a look at what's happening in that 30 minutes. Then once the laptop's closed, I'm good. I'm present with my partner, or I'm present with my client if I'm on the phone or a Zoom, or I'm actually just present in my reality, which I feel like a lot of people aren't. And that just leads people down, to me, that rabbit hole of neglect. And, as you know, in a relationship, the times that you've potentially maybe prioritized the business and neglected your partner, that's probably the times that you guys have clashes. Yeah. And then, like you say, we're self-administering alcohol. A lot of guys are addicted to porn. A lot of people have vices, gambling, gaming, any sort of dopamine kick to make them feel better. And the reason they're feeling bad sometimes, I feel like, other than the weight loss, is because they've lost their dopamine from their phone. They're exhausted, from doing this. Scroll.
Yeah. Men are in a spiral. They're sedating with drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling, screens, or even work. And because they have no energy, that's their coping mechanism. They're playing this game, whether it's a game in the business, a game with the phone, whatever it is, Instagram, but they're not playing the game of life, right? And a lot of guys don't realize that if you have a healthy body, it affects everything. Your body's your mind, your mind's your body. Healthy body means healthy thoughts. Healthy thoughts mean healthy emotions, which means healthy relationships, which means healthy business. We don't realize this. And we sort of put ourselves at the bottom of the barrel, right? Put myself last, don't have time to train. Then we have that health scare, right? How often do you have guys come to you that have had a health scare? Like, what are you getting? Heart attacks, cancer? What's sort of the health scares that come up?
Not so much heart attacks, probably cholesterol.
So risk of heart attacks.
Yeah. But a lot of them, mate, too, honestly, like, again, carrying an extra 20, 30, 40 kilos, knee issues, back issues, erectile dysfunction, which just comes from lack of libido, typically. Those are probably the biggest problems. Depression as well. People are a bit down and in the dumps and given up. But I mean, just going back to what we were talking about just before, I'm always kind of, Russell Brunson's probably the godfather of marketing, right? He's always talking about the 5 centers persuasion. And one of those is to blame an enemy and give people an excuse so they can actually, look, it's not me, move forward. So in this instance, I'm using social media and mobile phone as a reason why people get to that point. But something that Greg Plitt said, and he's dead now, original fitness kind of dude, he's like, when you're pointing your finger at someone, there's 3 fingers pointing back. So if every one thing of blame you're willing to point outward, you got to realize that there's 3 times the responsibility back at you. So I guess if you're a man listening to this and you are down that or stuck in that matrix, it's just time to take responsibility for that and own it. And just own the fact that maybe you're not actually too busy for providing, but you're distracted and you're spending too much time on your phone and you're prioritizing dopamine over addressing the real issue. And that would be my biggest advice with that, is just, I mean, how often do men actually reflect and sit there and go, hey, what am I doing that's causing my life to be where it is right now?
Looking in the mirror. It's what we teach our guys. First thing in the morning, write down your thoughts and feelings, write down what you're going to do, reflect at the end of the day. We're building out an app right now. It's going to have your reflections 365 every single day of the year.
Very cool.
And when you look in the mirror, you realize that if your body is overweight and you got a fucking veranda out the front, if your marriage is shit, if your business is shit, there's only one person you can look at, and that's you.
It's you, yeah.
Everything else is a role to play. COVID had a role to play. It's not that it's not a part of it, but it's out of your fucking control.
Agree.
So it sounds like with the rebuild, what you're doing is you're helping men take control of their health, and that's helping them take control everywhere else, right?
Yes.
What are the common misconceptions you see when it comes to fat loss, health, and fitness? What are the things that are just complete fucking bullshit that people currently believe?
Interesting. It just depends on which train we're talking about.
There's a lot out there, right? Ozempic's a good example.
What is, sorry?
Ozempic. It's a fad, but it's
not fixing the root cause.
Exactly.
As you and I keep talking about, it needs to be a lifestyle upgrade. But there's just so much relevance and context to the person's goal as well. Like if you're someone that just needs to lose 3 or 4 kilos of fat before you're 10%, then keto probably will work for you. If you enjoy it. And I say to people, I'm like, look, fasting's not bad if you enjoy it. But if you're someone that's hungry from 7 a.m. till 12 p.m., let's say you're fasting from 12 till 6 or 12 till 8, and you're starving and you're cheating every other day, and then when you do eat, you're overeating, then fasting is not good for you. But if you're somebody that likes to operate their business in the morning, is okay off a shot of coffee, and you can fast, then fasting's good. There's no one thing. I feel like the fads and things that work don't have enough context, because they do work to a degree, but do they work to get you to the end result? And that's where I use that word rebuild as kind of a North Star for people. Let's get you rebuilt. Let's get your metabolism working again. Let's fix your lifestyle and upgrade your lifestyle, and then you're rebuilt. You can do a little bit of all of these different things. So I feel like that's probably the biggest issue. The other one that floats around that pisses me off, but I've stopped fighting it, is like, you're either a fake natty or you've got a shit physique. Like, I'm just sick of people seeing anyone with a half decent physique and saying, oh, he's got to be on something. Like this quick fix mentality is that if you look good and you're muscular and you've got, vascularity and maybe 17-inch arms, you've got to be on steroids. Like there's that thing, that expectation, I think, is setting people up for failure as well. Because a lot of my guys, they come to me, and I make a bit of fun at this sometimes. They're 45 years old and they get me on the phone. They go, oh, look, I don't want to be too big, And I go, man, you've missed that boat.
Yeah.
Like the guys that are too big, they started 30 years ago at 15 and they got on the gear within 3 years. Like, you've missed that boat. Like, don't go into your gym workouts leaving a little bit in the tank because you don't want to get too big.
You're not going to get too big, buddy.
It's just that mindset. And I feel like I don't know whether that comes from the Rocky movies and the Rambo movies and Arnold Schwarzenegger's shtick.
It's all just perception. It's all stories. Like, everything you've talked about is stories. Like, somebody comes to you to lose weight and get healthy. You give them a solution, and the first fucking thing they say, instead of saying, yes, sir, is they say, I don't want to get too big.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to work in the morning. They're full of excuses, right? And that's what we do as men. We're full of fucking excuses. So when it comes to this idea of health and fitness, what would you say are the biggest pillars? If you were to map out a plan, and obviously we'll put your links down below, but like, for somebody listening right now, they want to get healthy, they want to get fit, they want to impact their entire life through health. How would you start your day? How would you finish your day? Like, sleep, gut health, nutrition, hydration. What would it look like?
Good call
for a guy.
So, I mean, 3 pillars we focus on is training. So resistance training, I think, is the best stress a man can put his body under. If you go back to thousands of years, men were hunting and fucking doing all that kind of stuff. So I feel like the human body's built to be physical. So resistance training is my jam. I don't get my guys doing any cardio unless they need to at the end and they really want to get down to whatever percent. We'll add in steps and stuff, but I don't give my guys a step count. Hitting the gym, focusing on strength largely and my muscle connection. So you're actually working the muscle and not just destroying the joint. So I'd say training's 1, nutrition's 1, obviously, getting your nutrition in order, whatever that means for you. Everybody's a little bit different with how much protein they need and what meals they want to eat. I have a series of non-negotiable items that I get my clients to eat, which is what I eat every day. Again, it's the super green salt and lemon drink in the morning, which is hydration that you mentioned, full fat Greek yogurt or a milk, serving of red meat, couple of fruit juices, etc. That just look after the micro stuff, right? Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Most guys are under consuming that and then over consuming calories. That's the problem. So that's what nutrition is from my perspective. It's not without giving you specific context for the individual. So fix your nutrition. And then the last one's mindset. Get your mindset in alignment with exactly what you were saying before with the bloke that you want to become. So if you've got a clear-cut vision on this guy that you want to become, that's healthy, strong, athletic, got energy, aging gracefully, which is a big thing these days, then what do you think are the daily habits that he does? Certainly not what you're doing. So we give them a set of daily habits to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I would say that. I would say resistance training, nutrition, and mindset. Those are the 3 big ones.
Yeah, awesome. What's your goal with this business you're building? What are you trying to achieve with helping these men? Like, what drives you? What gives you this passion and purpose?
That's a good question. And it's always evolving.
Yeah.
You've been in business now for
9 years.
Online in 9?
8 to 9, yeah.
8 to 9 years. So I'm 5 to 6.
Yeah.
So it's constantly evolving. I think you're obviously 3-4 years ahead of me with the evolution of a business. Originally for me, it was trying to take the natty gains movement online and show 20-year-olds how they actually can probably get the body that they want naturally, very similar to like a Keno body. Because I believe that most guys don't want to look like Chris Bumstead. There's obviously a niche.
We'll put him over, by the way, because a lot of guys won't know who he is, but he's the world champion bodybuilder, he's 5 times in a row?
6.
6 times in a row.
He's basically the modern Arnie.
Yeah.
He's the current day Arnie. Yeah. Obviously, we're down the road from Burleigh World's gym. Everyone in that gym wants to look like him.
I went there for the first time yesterday. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's full on. Yeah. It's full on.
Great smoothies though.
Correct. Yeah. So most guys don't want to. What was the question? Sorry,
most guys don't look like him.
They don't look like him. They want to look more what is actually attainable as a natural.
So what was your goal?
So that was my movement initially, but then I realized no one fucking cares. Everybody's just happy getting on the gear and trying to be like Bumstead. I was like, I'm fighting a losing battle here.
Yeah.
What's the point? So then I looked at weight loss and rebuilding, and people, because obviously I'm getting older at this point, people struggling at my age, 37 or 35 plus, and how easy it actually is to kind of get them out of it with a rebuild. So I changed into this rebuild model, got that working through an offer and all the rest of it. And that's kind of where I'm at the moment. It's kind of diving into how do I provide the best holistic approach for these guys to rebuild that's not just surface level. Because I'm still a little bit on the surface level with coaching compared to what you guys are doing here. I'm attacking the surface level weight loss stuff. I want to dive more into the other aspects of their life that they can improve on as well.
That's the natural progression. We started off in fitness and then we'd have guys losing 20, 30 kilos very quickly and keeping it off. But then their marriage was shit or they were stressed at work. And it's like, you got these 3 areas: health, wealth, relationships. You need all 3.
Yep.
You can have a fucking 10% body fat body, but then your wife cheats on you. Fuck the body. You can have a 10% body, but you can't pay your bills. Fuck your body, right? You need all 3.
Agree.
But the body fuels the others. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to this, and I missed it earlier, so I wrote it down. You mentioned the fake natty versus like dad bod overweight, whatever it may be. There is a serious fucking case of tall poppy in Australia and New Zealand. Like, you run Facebook ads.
Yeah.
I'm assuming your comments aren't the world's best place, right?
It's not the best place for confidence boost.
Yeah,
no.
I literally had a guy a few years ago who's like, someone should piss down his throat. So I responded with kindness, and I'm like, hey man, hope everything's okay with you. Sending you much love. Like, sorry if I've upset you. And he's like, go fuck yourself. So I blocked him, right?
Wow.
But there's a lot of tall poppy in Australia. And it's almost like if you do look good and feel good and have your life together, people judge you, think you're lucky, or bring you down. I've noticed that with myself. Like, we have a very successful business. Fuck that guy. What is that?
You just said it. It's tall poppy.
But where does it come from? Like, why are Australian men so fucking negative?
It's easier to project hate outwards than look inwards and go, fuck, why am I not successful within myself? It's much easier just that knee-jerk reaction of, this guy has what I want deep down, but won't admit because I think it's too hard to get. So fuck him. And it's quite interesting. The troll stuff used to kind of bother me, and I used to like give it to him back. And my whole ego-driven thing was, you can't bully a bully. I am a bully and I'll bully you back, you little fucking bitch. That was how I used to create confidence when I didn't have it. Yeah. Now I just ignore it, or I do what you do. I'll like it, I'll comment and say, thanks for the feedback. I hope your day improves.
Yeah.
Because I realize that it's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with this guy that's just sick of seeing other people succeed. He doesn't want to look in the mirror and ask himself the question of, why aren't I successful? Why aren't I on purpose? Why aren't I doing what I want to do? So I'll just tell this guy he's a fucking whatever.
Yeah. I've got guys who followed me 8 years ago who still comment shit on my posts for 8 years straight. This guy used to sell fitness. Now he's fixing marriages. What a flog. He's a scam artist. I'm like, bro, I wish I had your commitment to this much hate. Like, if you redirected this somewhere else, but it is what it is. We just mentioned confidence right there as well. So you and I both know that confidence comes from reps. Like, you can tell yourself you're the man, you can pretend you're the man, you can have affirmation yourself, but you got to prove it to yourself.
Yep.
Have you ever had moments in your life where you've lacked confidence? Because you seem like a confident guy, and it's very easy to look at you and go, he's ripped, he's healthy, he's successful, he's confident. Have you ever lacked confidence? Is it something that came innately to you? And what do you notice with your clients around this idea of confidence?
Yeah, good question. I definitely didn't have much confidence before I hit the gym. Yeah. Which was 14. I started at 14, and I got gains pretty quick there. I'd call it genetics, or maybe call it, I've spoken to a lot of people about this, hard work, but I think the best time to train, if you do want to get as big as you can naturally, is during puberty. Yeah. Because you've already got the right hormones happening. You're already naturally growing. You're adding in a bit of extra stimulus called lifting and eating well. I made most of my gains during that period. So I think it just goes back to exactly what you're saying. It's the reps. It's the action. Any time that you're lacking confidence, or if you're starting a business and you've got self-doubt, the only thing that will cure that is action, is actually stepping in and doing the work despite the confidence to gain the confidence. A lot of people think, oh, when I've got the confidence, I'll do the work. The work is what gives you the confidence. So I think I figured that out very early on through my own example, and I could reflect back in moments where I wasn't confident, like when I was starting in the online space, with the Category King, there was moments where I didn't have confidence, where I was filming an ad. Is this going to work? Don't like the teeth, don't like my hair receding, all this shit I get online. And then I just reminded myself, you just got to outwork. You got to outwork your insecurities.
I love that, man.
You know?
That's such a powerful frame because the thing is, we all have them. We all have doubts and insecurities. Social media doesn't help with that. But it's like, if you don't like your body and you're insecure about it, do something about it.
Well, use your two hands to fix it, man.
Exactly, which is within your control. Same with your business, same with your marriage.
Yep.
I think the biggest takeaway I've got from today, man, is if you are not currently the best expression of yourself, you get to rebuild yourself. So as a man, as a father, if you don't have a healthy body, fuck the six pack, just a healthy body, the six pack comes, then you're not giving your kids and wife what they deserve. If you don't have a healthy body, you're not giving your business what it deserves. If you don't have a healthy body, you're not giving the world what it deserves, because most men are fucking weak. Not weak in terms of like, you know, crying and all that shit. Weak in terms of they don't take action to upgrade themselves. So rebuild yourself as a man, do something to be better every single day, and everything else falls into place.
Spot on.
Fucking put the work in, right?
Yep.
Is there any other advice you'd like to share with the listener at home on how they can rebuild their health and in turn their business, relationships, all the other pieces?
Yeah, good question. Just to touch on a bit of the psychology of that too, like another phrase that I use inside the group is that, you know, the juice has to be worth the squeeze. There are probably a lot of guys that are so far behind the 8 ball in the 3 categories we're talking about, but let's just use mine as an example. They're 30 kilos overweight. It's pretty far behind the 8 ball at 45 years old with a business and kids, or a full-time job and kids. So a lot of them are reluctant to go all in because they're not quite sure whether the result's going to be worth the effort or the sacrifice. So that's my saying. The juice has got to be worth the squeeze. You're not going to go and squeeze oranges all day to have a juice that tastes like cranberry juice, for example. I mean, real cranberry juice. It's bitter is what I'm getting at. So I think if you are serious about a result and you do want to rebuild, you know, get some professional help. You know what I mean? And just make sure that the person or the coaching group or the company that you're going to has plenty of proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know, I say to my guys all the time, I'm like, the juice has to be worth the squeeze, and all of the results that are plastered on my Instagram, and I do every third post, I'll post a before and after picture because I know that motivates people. I said, go and have a look at them all. I said, all of them wish they had done this sooner. And it was easier than they thought it was going to be. So, look, I'm in a situation where I've got a 80% slap tear in my right labrum and a 25 in my left, just from years of lifting and tennis and stuff. And I'm going to go down the stem cell path. But I'm going to make sure that whichever company I go and spend 30, 40 grand on have got plenty of proof that it works. Because then it's not so much of a risk for me. Because to me, that effort of spending 40K and going over to Mexico or going to Dubai, it's got to be worth it. It's got to be a fair risk that my time and money is going to actually get a result.
Yes.
With guys coming to see me, they know, well, they should know by now, if not, have a look at my socials. If you come in and you do the work, you will get the result.
Yeah.
So the juice has to be worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where people are skeptical. They're like, fuck, if I give this guy XYZ money and I spend 6 months with this guy and I don't get a result, I'm going to be pretty butthurt about it, even further behind on my mortgage, or that 10K or 15K or whatever. Let's just use that as an example. That could have been spent on something else. My kids, a holiday. I don't want to be selfish and invest in myself if it's not going to work.
Yeah. So
just do your due diligence on whoever you're going to hire. You have a ton of social proof, a lot of interviews of guys talking about what you've done as far as impacting their life for the better.
Yeah.
In my instance, I've got a ton of before and afters that you can't fake because I'm tagging the person on. So message the person if you think they're fake.
Yeah.
Look at the YouTube case studies, look at it all, and then weigh up, you know, whether that result is worth the time to get there.
Yeah, and also invest in yourself. Like, it's fucking fascinating, man. You'll have guys probably come to you who have health scares and you tell them how much it costs to work with you and they go, oh, I need to think about it. I need to ask my wife. It's like, bro, you never need to ask your wife if you go out on the piss. You just fucking do it. You spend the money. You don't ask your wife if you can buy takeout. We have these pre-packed excuses and it's fucking fascinating as men. We upgrade our phones every year. We upgrade our cars. Most dudes are driving 30, 40, 60, $100,000 cars. But God forbid you put 5-10 grand into your body. God forbid you put 5-10 grand into your health or your marriage. Yeah. It's fucking fascinating. I found the most successful men, the ones I spend time with, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on themselves. Yeah. And that ROI is insane. Yep. But the weird part is you have to do it to understand that. It's easy for us to say. So if you're at home right now and you want to work on your health, like reach out. We'll put the socials down below. And whoever you work with, invest in yourself. You're the fucking number one. That's when everyone around you wins. Brother, it's been fucking amazing having you on here. We'll have to do it again. We'll jump on your pod as well.
Sure.
Anything else you want to share?
No, that's it really.
All good. Thank you, brother. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Peace. If you're getting value from this podcast episode and you want to learn how you can have a better relationship, a better marriage, you can be a better father, husband, the man you know your family deserves, then it's very fucking hard to do that just by listening and getting fed information. Sure, this is valuable, but what's much more valuable is having a custom roadmap and a custom plan. And that's exactly what we do here at The Empowered Man. So if you want to learn how to fix your marriage, reconnect with your children, and find work-life balance, then that's exactly what we want to help you with. We'll help you make more money, working less hours, have that life you deserve by becoming unfuckwithable. Just tap the link down below in the description and go and book a coaching session with my Empowered Man team. On that session, we'll build your custom Empowered Man roadmap to fix your marriage, reconnect with your children, find work-life balance, and have the life you deserve. Click the link down below right now.